we find out that somebody has purchased a property and is immediately renting it within the 2-year period, then we will act on that. Unfortunately, it's very hard for us to figure out who's actually owning the property and who's actually living in the property. If you can find a surefire way for me to figure that out, let me know, would you? Because I haven't been able to figure that out.
So you all do not contract?
This discussion is over. Moving on. 8035 Casuarina Drive. There's someone here to address this.
That Karen, she's not here. She had asked to be taken off, but they
Okay,
left her on.
11015 Elderberry Drive. Anyone here to address that?
My question on this is whether this should be read or put in, because they stated here that they have left and are back in Pennsylvania and will not be here, but wanted this addressed. So I don't know how that works.
Yeah, this was a letter requesting that the senior village signs be put back up.
Yes.
And because of some concern about a younger person buying property that supposedly didn't know they were buying property in a senior community. So, I don't know, do we want to discuss this?
I really think we should. I think something has to be done with it, right away. I don't want any more of this going on. I received 2 phone calls from different residents, someone who lives across the street and someone who lives behind the house. That's the person that sent the letter in. I would really like to, I don't know if we can make motions on correspondence or if we have to put it on the next board meeting, but something has to be done. We have to identify senior villages in this community with more than just a deed restriction on the way in.
Donna?
Well, I live at Fairway 1, and we did have the signs on ours, but when they replaced the new signage, they didn't put the new one on there that says senior villages.
I think that
So
pretty
we
much,
have had somebody try to come in and buy the condos too.
this is not the first that this has happened. I know I've called 2 realtors in the last week because there's no deed restricted sign even on there for sale signs. I shouldn't have to be doing that. And I don't understand how they don't know it. I mean, I looked up the one and all it said was, and it's the one that they're talking about, which is on Glen Eagle Drive. It actually happens to be the house I used to own. And it said single family residence. And when you look down, there is an HOA, and people see $50 for an HOA, so they know there's a deed restriction. But I have friends that live in a deed restricted community that has nothing to do with 55 plus. So you don't know that. And I think we need to put the signs back on every village. I would like to make a motion that we put senior village on every sign that is posted in front of our different villages.
Second. John?
Well, no, I think Driftwood and San Clemente have the family. I meant on all of our senior villages.
I can get a proposal for new signs, and we can vote on that proposal at the next meeting.
Why don't we go ahead and vote on this motion, and then you can get us some prices. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, Jerry?
You need signs up, Jerry Beers, Monterey, 3326, but you need to put signs up in all entrance into Senior Village. Because not all entrance have any signs. So you need to put up new signs too.
How does that work on the wall? Can we put something on the wall as you come in? Because there's really nothing else out there.
We put, at all of the entrances, we previously put, deed restricted and no soliciting. We could do the same thing at the entrances. The previous board's, reasoning for taking them down was because they felt that as though it made those villages targets.
Now they're targets for people buying.
Right.
So, I don't know which is worse.
But just to make a point, so in the state of Florida, when you purchase a home, when there's an area on your purchase agreement that you sign that says that you've obtained the documents and you've read them and you understand them and you follow them. On the first page of your documents, it says you're an age-restricted community.
In all closing, that should be done, but I think a lot of this stuff is being done online now, and, people don't know. At least that's their excuse.
Well, the house on Glen Eagle never had a sign. It was listed if you looked under Realtor.com, and it got word of mouth got around, but there was never a sign on there. So anyone coming to look at the house didn't know.
Okay. Marcia?
Well, in all reality, this community has been here for many years. And any realtor worth his salt knows that this is a over 55 and above community for the most part. So what's with the realtors?
Right. There's apparently a few that aren't worth their salt. Okay, I'll call for the
I
vote.
have another question.
All those questions,
So sorry. So what does the signage?
senior village.
That we're putting up. Did we vote? You want to know what the signage says that we want to put up?
Yes.
Senior Village. Like where it says Sable Palm, we used to have signs that hung below that said Senior Village.
There was a
On
little
all of the
sign.
senior villages. And deed restricted was always supposed to be put on realtor signs.
So why doesn't it say specifically 55 plus? Senior might be 62 or 85.
They took them off to paint them and they never put them back.
No. You have an answer to that? Brenda wants to know why it doesn't say 55 plus. Is there an answer to that?
You probably have to go back in time
Can't
about
put that on.
30 or 40 years to answer that question. That's just what they were.
And I think as long as we have senior village, we're covered. People don't know it. So,
Maybe.
and I don't care, real estate agents know it. Don't tell me they.
Should know.
I had to show that I was old enough to move in here. And I certainly looked old enough to move in here, but I still had to show my license.
But you don't show until you come to the window to register. Is the problem.
No, I'm saying at the title company, we had to prove that we were 55 plus.
They don't all do, it's like Ed was saying earlier, a lot of these transactions are happening with absentee buyers and it's happening online and it's just, there are things falling between the cracks. We all see it.
And I know like with the condos too, we had to fill out that form like you're talking about. And it did say that we had to prove we were 55 and over.
Dale?
Back by popular demand. Listen, Beverly can say for what we're talking about right now, when the house next door to me sold, not only did the ad say that it had no central heat and air, and the unit was only about 2 years old. The guy comes to look at the house and all of a sudden the air clicked on and he's like, what are they talking about? There's no heat and air. And they put up a sign. All it said was, I forget the name of this crazy new company, but Beverly, towards the end, because so many people called the office complaining that they didn't have any sign out saying deed restricted or senior village, the day that Beverly came, right before that, the guy had found out that he had to put it on the sign. And a few of us saw him. He literally yanked the sign out of the ground, threw it in the garage, and then sold it with no sign at all out there. So I understand the way they're selling houses today, You take a video, you give it to them, they put it online, people from out of state are buying the houses. And my main question, because that came up later on, is, are you saying that a handful of people may have said, we don't feel safe with advertising that it's a senior community? So somebody just decided, okay, we're not gonna put up the senior village signs or the deed restriction signs that used to hang on the sign. And if that's the case, that was kind of silly. But where in the heck did the signs go? Did you just throw them out? We gotta buy new signs now? What happened to all the signs we had?
All the signs needed to be replaced, so all the signs that we had are gone. They were not in good shape to begin with. And that was, and as far as what happened, you know, why the senior, that happened quite a while ago. I don't know what happened. I wasn't on the board at the time that they were all removed. So I have no idea.
Carolyn Walker,
They were supposed to be painted.
10715 Salamanca Drive. My question is, what are we gonna do about the person that bought the house that's underage? That's my question.
A letter was sent to this person, requesting that they come down and register at the office, so they did. They brought their mother. The person is 26, the mother is 50. Now it's a matter of putting the grandmother on the deed. We have to prove that the grandmother is living there. It's not easy, and fortunately, they live across from somebody who has cameras everywhere, and so it's still a long process. It will be, I'm sure John will be turning this over to the lawyers at some point if there's anything we can do about it.
Marcia?
I'm sorry to be banging on this, but it would be so much easier if you guys went over the sales contract. I don't see why a house is sold and somebody in that area does not get a sales contract to be approved. We have to approve it for sale. And our HOA, anywhere in the Fairway Villas, somebody comes in to buy it. If they're doing it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, a sales contract goes to that HOA's president or secretary, and they go over it. If those people are not of age, they intend to rent, it gets washed. Simple. So there's got to be some kind of system that the rest of Timber Oaks can set up.
Ann Osega, 14116. No disrespect to anyone, but condos are different than single-family homes. The condos don't own the condo owners don't own the property that they're living in, only from the ceiling down and the walls in. So I don't think technically you can, when you buy a home, request their sales contract. I'm not sure if you could do that as a board. I just want to say, if the grandmother is over 55 and her name gets put on the deed, she could, all she has to do is say she's renting to her 26-year-old granddaughter, because nothing in our documents state an age that you have to be to rent. Well, she would have to own it 2 years, but in 2 years that granddaughter could legally, according to our documents, rent, because we do not specify age when in rental anywhere in our documents.
But we do specify who may live in this community, and you must be 55. A 26-year-old could live with a 55-year-old if they are the son or daughter or married.
Right. But as far as renting or leasing, we do not have an age limit in our documents.
I don't think we need to have that, as long as we have that you must be 55 to live here. That doesn't mean own or rent, live here. So I don't think that would cover it. I could be wrong, and I don't know.
Well, I think our documents, when they were gone over, were not really gone over well, because there's a lot of inconsistencies with them, and some things do need to be spelled out. Thank you.
John, maybe we could run it by the lawyer and see what advice they can give us on this one.
It is also, isn't it also my understanding that that if a realtor sells you a house a 26-year-old sells them the house, that they must purchase that house back from that person, that they are liable for it. But why would a 26-year-old want to live in a senior community? You can, yeah, they're looking for you, Jerry.
Eileen,
You could be 26 years old and buy a house in here, you just can't live here. And she should be sent a letter telling her what the rule is. You can own a home, and you're gonna have to wait a long time before you can live here. I mean, there's nothing to stop her from buying.
Kathy?
You have to be 55. Somebody in that household has to be 55 to live here.
Okay, Kathy.
Thank you, Ed. Kathy, it's Antigua Court, Capri. Just on the senior village, you really don't know how old you could be because senior discounts often begin at 50. So perhaps it should decide to say 55 plus. When I inherited in here, I was 55, and there were issues of some people that inherited earlier than that. They were kicked out in the history of my time being here.
You want to change it to senior village?
I think if we have senior village on, which I think is much nicer than putting 55 plus on, what are we going to put? Senior village 55 plus? The other thing with that is if someone's coming in here and they see that it's a senior village, do you think they're gonna ask the realtor? And then I guess we're back to whether the realtor agrees with it or not. I have no problems with putting 55 plus, but we have to also put senior village. So what are we putting? Senior village, 55 plus senior village?
I just wanna, maybe John needs to check with our attorney, what's required? I mean, do we, sometimes these state laws that say these things put out, that it has to be this or that. I couldn't tell you what it is with senior village, whether it's 55 and over. Maybe we need to review that before we decide one set of signs and find out we gotta have another.
I don't think legally there's a problem. It's up to us what we put up.
We had senior village for years.
Well, why do you think they would argue with either one? Why do you think?
Because somebody's put statutes out on these items, and there may be in those statutes, some very specific language. I mean, I've run into that before, where you have to say a certain words or something, and.
Well, we know we had senior village before, right?
Well, I've also seen 55 plus. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm saying let's check it.
Well, we can check into it. In the meantime, I'll amend the motion to read that we put signs up saying 55 plus senior village.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Now that we're all 65.
Okay, 11110 Rolling Wood Drive. Is that the same issue? Age restriction concern? Okay, we'll combine that with you. Okay, 8040 San Fernando Drive. Deed restriction and finding issue.
Hello. So my name is Maria. I live in 8040 because it's my brother's house and it was something he gave to my mother and I. So my mother is over 55 and I live with her. So let me stay in my home. So I just wanted to talk over because my brother was told that he was sent a letter back in March or earlier about the enforcement of the fine. However, neither tried everything to get that working. However, I don't have thousands of dollars to call a local company to overhaul the lawn and get it fixed, because if not, I would have done that a long time ago. All I'm asking is that I'm not being defiant about anything. I just need more time to get everything fixed. Like the sprinklers are up and running again. However, there is one section that is not working. I do not have a company that is working on it. It is just a friend of my brother who has knowledge of this and is working on it on his days off. So I just would really love time to get this working again. And I've been buying seeds. I even have receipts here and everything. My brother buying the seeds for the house and everything, and the water pump to get the water going. Actually, that's really all. I just want more time. Is all.
Okay, are you aware that in November 10th, a letter was sent out concerning the violation? As a
No.
second notice, and then, on December 1st, a letter was sent out again. December 8th, it was set to final notice. December 29th, still no change. It was sent to finding on January 3rd. Still no change. And now it's April, the middle of April, and it's still not fixed. And you want us to give you a break?
Not a break. I just need a little bit more time to get things running. I am the one who's paying for everything. I don't have money set aside to fix all these. Again, this was something that's happened before, but I have no control over it. Now that I do have money to be paying for it, I'm trying my best to keep up with everything to make, the guidelines. Yeah, we are not being defiant, we just need time.
What amount of time are you talking about? The other thing is, this has gone on since November, the beginning of November. We are now in April.
Yeah, that, to be honest, I don't remember getting any letters, and my brother, who gets the letters as well, has not received anything until later on.
After all of this, and some of those were not sent by regular mail, so they had to be checked. Why, I just find it hard to believe that nothing was brought there.
Again, I'm not too sure, dear. I'm just trying to get everything done as quickly as I can.
John?
I think Jerry can probably confirm that the brother did get the finding meeting notice. I think he did attend the meeting.
Jared, do you know when that was?
No. I don't know.
Can you let the gentleman behind you say something?
Yeah, the brother who was the original owner did come in to the fine and suspension. And I don't know the exact date. My memory, I have a hard time remembering what happened.
January 25th.
Oh, now I remember, January 25th. But, no, he came in and he basically saying the same thing that she said, but it wasn't fixed. And so, like I said, and he kept asking for more time. But this has been going on from the final hearing from January 25th, still asking for more time. That's all I can say on it. I mean, and they were very aware of it because he brought in all 3 letters and he come in and he was kind enough to show up and, and he told us he was taking back the responsibility. Because the mother, and I guess you live there. But anyhow, it's still not done, so that's what I can tell you about.
I have to be honest with you, we have had this come up before, and because of the amount of letters and notices, and I understand that, this is not going to be cheap, but running a hose or whatever, something has to be done. You live in an area which has an HOA, and you were given multiple opportunities since the beginning of November. And it still is not, and I don't see where we can change what has been done.
Right, I understand that. I do work and I am a student, so I'm, like I said, trying my best to make everything right. I do water the lawn every night when I get from home, but it is 9 o'clock when I get home, and sometimes I might skip a day or two, but I do try and turn on the hose and let it go and walk around the lawn and everything. And we did buy seeds, we put new seeds in actually again, because the ones we brought previously they weren't working, so we bought another couple packs and it takes time, even by hand, it takes time, and I only get to do it once, when I come from work.
According to the timeline that we have, it's been extended 10 days once already. And the original fine was, or the original violation notice was in October. Second notice was in November. The hearing was in January. So how much
It's been
more
6
time do you
months.
think that you would need?
I'd say for sure by mid-May, maybe even sooner, just because we are halfway in April, that should be up and running again. Like I said, the sprinklers are working now. We just need the seeds to start growing, really. That takes a while, unfortunately.
John?
Maybe a suggestion is for this homeowner to come back to the board after the violation has been corrected, to ask for potentially for some fines to be waived, but to ask for fines to be waived before it's corrected probably is out of order.
That sounds reasonable. Any other comments? Eileen?
Just a question here. What, is there a reason somebody didn't go to the hearing?
He went to the hearing.
Oh,
Jerry testified that he went to the hearing.
oh, okay.
It's also in the letter.
So,
Brothers
is there
had
any
a-
grass coming up now?
I'm sorry?
Is your grass coming up now?
It is in patches. It's just not all coming up. So I have noticed there's some patches here and there that are growing in, and then there's some others that are taking a little bit longer.
Please, and it's Baja grass, and we're supposed to have what, St. Augustine, but even still, just to get something green to come up,
Do we need to make a motion on this or suggest a motion? Or how do you- I would say that we note that she was here, and I don't think anything should change at this point. If you get it done, as soon as you get it done, I would come back in or go to the Fines and Suspensions Committee, and we look at it then as far as the fines and whether it has been corrected. We have extended this twice 10 days, and we're 6 months into it, so until it's fixed and you can come in, we can discuss it then.
All right, thank you.
you need to put down more grass seed.
I will try.
Brenda made a motion to.
We have a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, open forum if anyone wants to speak.
Brian Champagne, 8238 Antigua.